This is Ben Shapiro, Thug Life. Trigger warning. The Thug Life chose me.
So I should point out that in the very early moments, like the first half hour after the shooting, the attempted shooting of Donald Trump, it was a shooting because other people died. The immediate headlines from the media tried to ignore the actual story in a way you know they would not have if, God forbid, this were Joe Biden. Here was CNN's headline: Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Did something make him fall?
Gotcha,
How did he
bitch.
fall exactly? How did he fall? He was shot in the ear. New York Times: Trump hurt but safe after a shooting. Oh, there was a shooting, was there? But was it an assassination attempt? That's what you call it when someone tries to kill a political official.
Smoke weed every day.
The Associated Press: Donald Trump has been escorted off the stage by Secret Service during a rally after loud noises ring out in the crowd. Oh, someone must have sounded an air horn or something. You know what would destroy your credibility? It's because you are so hell-bent on destroying your own credibility in the name of a political narrative that you end up with garbage headlines like that. And the media have not stopped. Understand, they have not stopped for one single solitary second. Within moments of the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, again, an assassination attempt that failed by centimeters, maybe millimeters. It literally took off a piece of his ear. Within moments, the entire media apparatus had swiveled into position. And they were going to finally take on violent rhetoric from President Trump. I'm not even kidding. The narrative here, the actual story here is an entire political party, an entire political side of the aisle geared around the idea that Donald Trump is a grave, existential threat to democracy. And then someone took that seriously, presumably, and tried to shoot the president of the United States.
Gotcha, bitch.
And the media swiveled into place and said the problem was Donald Trump and his supporters and their rhetoric. So here was CNN's Jamie Gangel attacking Donald Trump. Why? Because when he got up from the ground after having been shot near his head in the ear, he got up and he said, "Fight," and then USA. And this is the kind of dangerous rhetoric that could lead to violence.
I do want to say there was one thing that when I watched the tape, I found odd because of all of the heated rhetoric. And that is that after he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, "Fight, fight, fight." I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
You pathetic, sad sack ass clowns. Are you kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? Like what? He's the one who got shot. One of his supporters was murdered. He gets up and he says, "Fight," on the basis of just almost getting murdered. And your complaint is that his rhetoric is too heated? What about your rhetoric? What about your side of the political aisle?
Gotcha,
Yeah, truly,
bitch.
the danger, the rhetorical danger to democracy is from Donald Trump. Clearly, that's the problem. It has nothing to do with an entire ecosystem built on the idea that Donald Trump is the kind of person who needs to be eliminated from American society in order to ensure the future of democracy.
Ben Shapiro, Thug Life is hot on the trigger. He's a real man and he's a real friend.
But he's really, I mean, it's a good strategy. Like, while the Democrats are getting all this bad publicity, just shut up. He doesn't usually do something that smart.
It's like that scene.
Right?
It's like that scene in Jurassic Park where the Velociraptor learns to use the door handle.
Right. What do you make of the Democratic Socialists of America pulling its endorsement of AOC for not being sufficiently anti-Israel?
Honestly, I'd like for the Democratic Party to pull its support from the pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party. That would be.
I think that even without the age, excuse me, but this you should care, because even without the age issue with Biden, there's going to be the Genocide Joe protesters at the convention. This is a split in the party.
But let me articulate this. I think that both parties have a real issue with anti-Semitism. And I don't think it has any place. I mean, I've seen the ads with the Star of David that you all ran in different House races.
Right.
I've heard the words that have come out of Donald Trump's mouth before. I mean, we can't turn a blind eye to the anti-Semitism that's in the Republican Party. We've seen January 6th. We saw people in Charlottesville yelling all the
Okay.
worst. But hold on.
Here's where this comes in.
Smoke weed every day.
Can I finish this thought real quick? Go for it. The way I wanted to bring this full circle is that, yes, Democrats have to combat the anti-Semitism that's within our own party as well. It needs to be rooted out completely from both parties. That's my only point. It has no place. It has no place in the American political.
I agree. I obviously agree. And I personally have been targeted more than probably anyone else in America by alt-right anti-Semites, okay? Like, truly, by the statistics, as a conservative. Now, let me say that the vast disproportion of people who are anti-Semitic in America right now, unfortunately, I wish this were not true. I wish it were a non-bipartisan issue and there were no anti-Semitism. But the vast disproportion is inside the Democratic Party right now.
Gotcha,
which is why
bitch.
the Democratic Party seems unable to divide off from, say, Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. It's why they've had such trouble in simply declaring the obvious, which is that Hamas should surrender. It's why Joe Biden, by the way, the other night, even at that foreign policy supposedly masterful display, he had a tough time explaining exactly. He didn't mention the word hostages one time when he was discussing Israel and Hamas. And there are 5 American hostages sitting in Hamas tunnels right now, and he's still talking about slow-walking military aid to Israel to finish off that war. That is because he is deeply concerned that he's going to lose that part of his base that is anti-Semitic.
Been on the block, sharp spitters like a Ginsu. AOC shook shutters when he sliced through. Flax flying, rapid fire, taking no prisoners. Quoting data, she feels the burns.
Last night, about 8 p.m., Joe Biden sits down in the Oval Office to make a statement, and he begins by saying the usual slogans, talking about how we're fellow Americans.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here.
So, again, this sort of rhetoric about how we need to take a step back and take your central message was precisely the opposite of this thing.
Gotcha,
it's
bitch.
precisely the opposite of what you're saying right now. That you're saying we're not enemies, we're friends. You literally said in the debate, that was just a few weeks ago, you said you were asked a direct question. Are the people voting for Donald Trump a threat to democracy? And you said the more they find out about him, yes. You labeled what is likely to be 80 million Americans threats to the democracy. That is a hard one to walk back unless you are willing to just clearly say the thing, including me. It's not all that hard. It's not that hard. Now, many of us in public life, we've said things that we regret. Many of us have said, if I could do it better, I would have done it better, and now I hope to do it better in the future. Or here's a generalized political problem in which I myself have engaged. It happens all the time, but Joe Biden can't find it in his heart to do it. Why? Because he can't let go of the message. Understand, he is stuck now between a rock and a hard place. The rock is that his centralizing platform, his centralizing message is in fact inherently dangerous. Okay, that is the big issue. Okay, because that's the rock. And the hard place is that if he keeps embracing that message, it obviously is the impetus for violent actors. That's the rock and that's the hard place. And he can't escape that, except he's going to try and walk between the raindrops here by suggesting that everybody needs to take down the temperature, except for him.
Blaze a sharp line, sharper, calling pin the brainiac. Debating phones, eating arguments for a snack.